What? How y'all doing? Internet's still broken. No. Nah, it's alright, to be fair. The topic of this video, I'm going to have an internet detox. So for anyone that isn't following, an Openreach engineer was caught atop my pole the other day, just out the back of my house, and since then the tinterwebs have been balked. Just outright balked. They were down, then they came back, then they went away, then they came back, then they went away, then when they came back and kind of settled, and they're running at less than half speed, less than a third. Uploads probably half of what we'd normally have, and I don't mind having a slow connection, but when I'm already cutting it close, doing what I do, so let's say I'm sharing the connection between 4 people, when I'm cutting it close doing what I do, with a full speed connection, we had, was it like 70-20, thereabouts. It would kind of fluctuate, maybe sit somewhere in the high 50s, mid 60s, 70. Like there's that amount of kind of fluctuation. The upload would go anywhere between 15, 20, but sit around maybe 17 as an average. When all of a sudden you end up at like, I don't know, 20 down, 10 up, and you're splitting that between 4. I'm really starting to cut it close, and it's annoying, especially given what you pay for. And I've had friends who have had trouble with their internet connections, and it's taken Openreach months to fix the problem. I use my internet connection every day, as I'm sure most people do. A chunk of my income comes from being able to use the internet on the daily. Most households manage a lot of their stuff over the internet. Banking is done over the internet now, just loads and loads of stuff. In a lot of cases, there are things you just can't do without the internet. So for it to go up, down, disappear entirely, it's a bit... You just imagine it's really frustrating, especially in a time like we're in now. At time of recording, we're sat in the middle to maybe the tail end of a global pandemic. We're not supposed to be leaving our houses or doing anything particularly exciting. So people get kind of tense when they can't go online. Let's say you've got a business call coming in and all of a sudden you can't talk to anyone. You've got to be sending them video or voice, and all of a sudden your connection drops to like 1 megabit, and nothing is optimized for a connection that low anymore. You just robot out and the call has to stop. Kids are trying to talk to their friends online or something like that, and that just doesn't work. Kids are trying to play games online, or you're trying to play games online. That stuff doesn't work. When people are used to sitting there watching 4K HDR with Atmos sound on Netflix, and now they're barely getting standard def, it can kind of annoy people. When you're used to being able to split your connection between however many people and it be fine, to going to the internet's not working, and normally someone will be able to fix it. It gets to be a bit tedious. Admittedly, I will be honest, not having a huge amount of trouble like that here right the now, but thankfully we're not terrible internet addicts. But we live in a day and age now where people don't own anything. Like, we stream everything. Even though streaming is downloading without keeping it, we don't have anything. We don't own anything. We sit there and we stream our music. We stream our films. And so if the internet goes away, what do? bust out a DVD player? Bust out a Blu-ray player? Do people still own those? Do 2/3 of the people know what those even are? No, dude, you gotta bust out a CD. What, mate? Look at this, you're gonna be talking about cassettes and floppy disks. Nah, mate, that's just not what people do now. So it's a little annoying when you, especially when you're a society so reliant on the internet. It's I'm just going round and round in circles now. I'm just saying how bloody annoying it is to not have it. So it's got to be said as well. It's also it's addictive, especially a smartphone. People are constantly sat there on their smartphones, getting notifications and all that. You feel obliged to open it. You feel obligated to open that notification the second you get it. You're constantly checking for status updates and things like that on your phone, and it's not really necessary. But we've kind of trained our brains to do it. So, knowing full well that my connection is going to be balked, and I don't want to be the guy that sucks all of the bandwidth from my family. I mean, we're at the moment, with our internet connection being flaky, we're now using my smartphone as a modem, connected up to a travel router, connected up to a gigabit switch to feed internet around the house. My phone is now tied to my home. Now, I know I've said that we're in a global pandemic and we're not supposed to go anywhere, but, you know, if I am out for a walk or whatever, you know, if I'm using the old music streaming services, well, I can't do that now because it's all tied to, it's all on my phone, and my phone is here. So I'm going back to the 90s, you know, late 90s, early 2000s. I was old enough back then to know what Tinterweb was like back then. That's pretty much where I cut my teeth on the internet. That was my home, sitting on low quality, low bandwidth HTML pages, IRC. You know, everything was in standard def or like, when we say standard def, that's usually like, what, 480? We're talking lower, mate. Everything was in like JPEG and bitmaps, and you'd still have to wait 15 years for an image to load, depending on format. You know, you weren't streaming video realistically. So I'm going back. I'm going back. How you going back, mate? Let's see. Where is it? Where's that? Hang on. Where's that? I've lost it. No! I've actually lost it. Everything's over now. I've got nothing. Where you go? Are you that angry with me already? You're just leaving? Don't leave me. I saw you a minute ago. I didn't really mean you were horrible and full of blow. Ah, there you are. Ha! Got a dumb phone. What, mate? Yeah, so Nokia 105. It's one of them. Look at that. Look at that, and it's sexy featureiness. Nokia 105 dumb phone. I'm disconnecting from most services, like I would have done back when I was a kid, when I was a teenager or whatever, where if I ever wanted to disconnect from the internet, I just had to walk away from my computer. So if you're out of the house, generally people didn't talk to you unless they had your phone number. Fantastic, because I've mentioned this many a time over the last decade or so, that when me and my friends were young, it was our dream to always be connected, to be able to have the internet in our pockets, to be able to like sit on IRC or MSN Messenger, AIM or whatever, Yahoo Messenger, and just be able to like talk to anyone whenever we felt like it over Tinterwebs. Magic device in our pocket, surf the web, talk, chat, all that kind of stuff. Always be on. Now we've got it. Most of the world have embraced it. I hate it. I absolutely hate being so connected. I love the fact that, you know, I can talk to people who I will never meet, who I'll never sit in the same room with, although in a lot of cases, a lot of the people I have spoken to online have been to my house, have hung out with me. Hell, folks who I met online have come to my wedding. They came to my wedding. So, I've made some great friends over the internet, so I don't want anyone to get that crazy idea, but The trouble is, when you're so connected, one person has the idea of messaging you. And another person's like, well, I'm going to message him. It's only me that's going to message him kind of thing, right? So it's not going to be that big of a deal. And you end up with a flood of messages throughout the day. And it really does take your attention away from other stuff that you're supposed to be doing. You can't exactly easily disconnect from that kind of stuff these days without having to jump through a load of hoops. So I'm just going to go old school. If my phone is here, I'm going to use this. The only things this has on it, like you can send texts on it using T9. So that's where you have to press a button multiple times to get a letter you want. And I ain't doing that. I've already told people, ain't doing that. And make them receive phone calls. It's got a radio built into it too. And it's got like a couple of games on there which no one's ever going to play. Like there's Mega Bloat, like game-wise on there. There's like a Tetris game and some other stuff on there. No one's going to play it. I hope. No memory card slot. No camera. It's just a phone. Like 10 quid on Amazon. Just a phone. But Skaz, your phone's there. Your phone number's right there and you're using it for the internet. I know. I'm using an old phone number. Like a mega old phone number. I've given it to like the handful of people that would ever desperately need to call me. That's that. But what about the other stuff? So the plan is that you can call or text me on the number if you've got it. If you're going to message me through WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and I only really rejoined Facebook like last year or whenever. So, you know, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, Signal Messenger, Discord, IRC, all that kind of stuff. I have set them up on a computer. That's it. So if I'm not on my computer, I don't get your message. In the case of WhatsApp, you have to have your phone turned on, your smartphone turned on for it to pull the message. Well, thankfully, my smartphone's always going to be plugged in over here. So we're going to see how we go. I can still communicate with people the same way I'd normally do it. I'm one of those crazy people that actually does install messenger apps on my machines, on my computers, because I just don't like talking to people on my phone. I don't mind a phone call, but I don't like just, oh, I'm going to send them a message. Oh, I'm going to send them a message. Because it really annoys me. Like, I don't know, you're watching a film and then someone busts out the phone and they start messaging. I've got a rule when I go to a restaurant with friends. Everyone's phones out your fucking pockets, on the damn table. Right? Unless you have a specific reason to pick up that damn phone, you don't pick up the phone. So unless, like, I don't know, you've left your partner with your kid or whatever, you know, and there might be an emergency, you do not touch that damn phone. If you touch the damn phone, you're covering the bill. Alright, same with if we go out for drinks. Touch that damn phone, you're covering the bill. So, yeah, I don't like how these things distract. So, no smartphone. I already know that the main feature I'm probably going to miss on my smartphone is the camera. So I might kind of allow myself to scab taking a few pictures here and there, like if I need to take an emergency photograph. Kids, I'm disconnecting you from the internet. I'm going to snap some shots. Or, internet's going to go down for a bit. I better stop downloading my porn. Got to go take a picture. You know, just so I'll do that. Streaming music. I'm going proper old school on this one. No, I'm not going to grab a Walkman or anything like that. I have bust out this. What's that, mate? It's not a super old MP3 player, media player. I've had it for a few years before I went out and I got my Hibby R3 and my Shannon M0. So they're kind of higher end, middle of the road DAPs, digital audio players. But like this thing will play a variety of formats: MP3, OGG, FLAC, and other stuff. And no Bluetooth, no nothing. It's just literally wire it in, put a memory card in it, and it's got radio built in, groovy. Like this thing here, it's got radio built into it. That's like the two kind of most useful features on these damn things. But The idea being that if I want to listen to tunes, no Spotify, none of that. Gonna put it on here and listen to some tunes. This thing does have a little bug in it. It's not really a bug as such. Depending on what order the files are written to your memory card, that's the order they'll appear when you list albums. So things don't get written to memory cards in alphabetical order. They get written like they just get shotgunned to the memory card, which means that like you could go like track 1, track 5, track 3, track 10, track 7, and you're like, ooh, what's this? And sometimes, depending on if it's got like an album sort or whatever, that'll go through the tags and organize it that way. But if you've got stuff with various artists, not particularly useful. But 32 gig memory card. I've ran drive sort, fat sort. What was that? What's the program? There's something you can do in command line, but I can't remember what the tool is now. Hang on. I don't think I've got it written down because I was going to write it down just to make sure I remind. SD sorter, drive sort, or fat sort, and you can run that on your memory card, and that will reorganize everything in alphabetical order. So if you do have a little cheap player and it doesn't seem to organize the files correctly, that's all you got to do. It'll organize your files, and then groovy, you'll be able to use this like super easy like every other player. So let it be known, I've also ordered a really cheap pair of headphones, like earbuds. Like £5, like JVC, like jellies or whatever. I'm also the kind of guy that will happily sit here with a pair of £300 headphones on, listening through a £200-300 media player or sound system. You'd assume that, and I've got a big old FLAC collection and stuff, you'd assume that I'd want like the highest quality audio imaginable. So this is going to be hell for me, although I've just said I use Spotify, which in fairness in some degrees is hell, because even though those tracks come from a record label, they still can't seem to name them correctly, put them in the right order, and I can't run like a file system organizer to fix Spotify. But you'd assume that this kind of thing is going to be hell for me, but I'm gonna take a crack at it. I've used it for years. It plays audiobooks as well, and as I say, it's got the radio on it. I'm having a full blown internet detox. The camera, I think, is going to be the biggest issue with the smartphone, as I say, because I actually pay Google quite an amount to store my photographs on their Google Photo thing. It's not the first one, but it's the next one. Like, what do they give you, like 200 gigs or something like that, and I pay for the next one up, or is it 200 gigs? I don't remember. It's quite a bit of storage. I pay a reasonable amount for them to store my photos, because I like to store raw files as well as JPEGs or whatever, and I've only really started using Google Photos in the last couple of years. But I've also decided that along with this detox, over the next couple months, I'm going to go back to doing a project that I said I was going to do years ago, build a file server again. I had a file server years and years and years ago, full of movies and music and other little bits and bobs, images and whatever. And if the internet ever went down, it didn't really matter because we had the file server. With the internet going down now, and as I say at the start, most people don't own their own files anymore. They don't own their own data anymore. So when the internet goes down, they don't have anything. I want to make sure that we have something in-house so that if this happens again, we've still got our stuff. That's the groove. So I'm going to go for a month without smartphone for the most part. No Spotify. We're gonna do everything on here. I'm going to maybe possibly set up a small computer, like a Raspberry Pi or Raspberry Pi Zero, just to house some tunes and bits and bobs on, connect to IRC, have that running all the time, connect to some web clients for chat. And I mean, I could literally do it here, but I don't really want to sit at my computer all day. It's a waste of power just having it sat there idling all day. Maybe set up a little computer with a few loose files on it, downloading podcasts when they come up. Well, I should probably actually do that, seeing as we're on limited bandwidth, and just kind of, live like the old days. If I want to disconnect properly, just walk away. See how it goes. I'm gonna go from, what is it, the 1st of March now. So we'll go to the 1st of next month and see how we feel. Dumb phone with an old phone number. Oh, like I said, the other stuff is still connected to my smartphone's number, so WhatsApp and all that. And I'll just check it when I get to my computer. It's no big deal. Or when I get to a computer, it's not that big of a deal. Internet detox begins. I've already started copying a load of stuff over, transferring or converting FLAC to OGG, and putting them on here. Can't really do anything on this other than talk to people, I guess. I was going to say, oh yeah, it's got a headphone port on it. I had to because it's got a radio on it. It's got a light and a headphone port. It's insane, a headphone port. If this could put tunes on it, that'd be great, but you can't. So I've done this once before as well, actually, with an old Nokia 3310 a couple of years ago, and it went really like I don't mind. I'm not a huge internet addict, but I just don't like it when things don't work. And considering Openreach, as I say, have a really terrible reputation for getting jobs done properly, I'm really hoping they don't just lift and shift. Like, you know, someone who doesn't use that much internet with my line, so I get the good line and they get the bad one. I really hope they don't do that. They just fix the problem, but I don't see that as being likely. So we're just gonna, you know, tiny sips of bandwidth and let everyone else use the majority, and I'll go with some of the files that I already have stored and just be done with it. Wish me luck. We'll see how long it is until I cave. I'll be honest with you if I do cave. And I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. I think I might even just turn this thing on just to occasionally check chat and stream. Stream, that's going to be a hell of a job, isn't it? What else would I use this thing for? Game, I guess. Maybe to game a little bit, stream and I don't know, you take all that away, I don't really have much of a use for such a high power PC anymore. Save me a fortune. Thank you, Openreach. Right, I'm going to see you all. I'm just talking shit. I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye.